Immigration has been a huge talk in our country and continues to receive attention through the changing climate and environment and how our politicians and people view it.
The asylum seeking process here in the United States has taken on different forms in the past few years. Several years ago, it was pretty standard that you declare yourself at a port of entry for the United States and ask for asylum. And then from there, the individual is processed by a number of government agents who are looking for what's called credible fear, which is the ability to stay in the United States because you're fleeing some type of political, religious, ethnic persecution, sometimes around gender, although that one is harder to prove, but that there's a really specific reason that you're fleeing your home country. When someone's seeking asylum, they're also seeking to give up their citizenship in that home country. So this is a pretty serious thing. People don't do it lightly. It's not just so they can hang out in the US and go back. You're really giving up those rights, and your home country won't typically take you back.
When seeking asylum, many people think that it's a fairly quick process, but the process of seeking asylum is fairly protracted and long. Right now, we have a number of people at the Mexican border who are seeking asylum who aren't even allowed to remain in the United States to be able to have their asylum cases heard and completed. So the problem with this is that you actually end up in a state of limbo.
The large issue we see with this process is that there are an overwhelming amount of applications awaiting decision, leaving current applicants today waiting until 2022 to have their hearing. We are introduced to Brianna Melhorn of Law Office Marcia Binder Ibrahim, who was capable of seeing the many injustices on a first-hand basis on the El Paso border.
Because the face of asylum is different. And I say the face of asylum because it used to be single men coming for employment. Now you're seeing families, like groups of family members coming, and they're fleeing the gangs. That's essentially what they're doing, but it's also the faces of El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico. Those are the countries that we're seeing. And that hasn't necessarily changed too much, but it's the family units that we're seeing that has really changed. And I think that's where we're seeing a lot of our problems. So anyone that enters that is in iwi, entering without inspection, they have a misdemeanor. So they have to go to federal court. It was never like that. And then if they enter and they had a prior deportation order, it's a felony. So in regard to the crisis level backlog of 311,000 pending cases, the realistic response that I've seen that I would like to see and have heard from that are more immigration judges. At York Prison, there are 4. In Philadelphia, there are 5. I mean, it's an incredibly small number. I've been in court where immigration judges are being broadcasted on a television or telephonically broadcasted just because they don't have enough. That's why our system's backlogged. If we do a motion to continue a case, it's going into currently 2022.
Another step in seeking asylum is the credible fear interview.
Fear, credible fear is a big part of asylum. You have it can last, I would say, like 45 minutes to sometimes 5 hours of a credible fear interview, and with an asylum officer, and you have to talk about your situation back from the country that is unwilling or unable to avail protection, and the officer deems if you have credible fear, and then from there on you can go and continue your asylum process. Because if the USCIS officer denies that you have credible fear, then you're automatically deported. Then you don't really have a chance.